Hello everybody and welcome back to the adventures of Germany. It is September 1936 in our alt history randomized map. We just got done deploying our troops along the border, setting up for the end of this first year, and I think we're just going to need to let things go. At this point, our biggest threat really is our Democratic parties leaving office. I did some thinking about it, and honestly, those buttons we clicked earlier to reduce the organization of some of our main competitors might have been a poor decision. The biggest threat to us is one of the fascist or communist parties gaining power, rather than one of the democratic parties. If we lost power to another democratic party, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. We'd just have different people in our politics screen to choose from. But if we lose it to a fascist party, we might experience a radical shift in our government form, and we'd have a difficult time gaining allies. That might not be the worst thing in the world. It'll definitely make for an interesting playthrough, whatever happens. So come what may, we're just gonna keep on keeping on. It is just the 21st of September, and our planned invasion of the United Kingdom needs to wait at least until January I believe the 2nd. The peace treaties all expire on the 1st of January. So we're just gonna need to keep going and see what happens. Alright, 3rd of October, and we have, looks like 5 new infantry divisions to deploy. Those were the 5 that we kept on building, and we had moved these 5 down because we wanted to focus on getting these, our motorized divisions done. I'm guessing we're just getting really darn good at making infantry divisions now, because we've been focusing on making them, and we actually do get a fairly significant reduction in our infantry and artillery practical, because we've built so many of them. This does mean that we need to decide a new thing to produce. Actually, we can up our upgrades now too, because we have all of those new infantry units deployed. I'm going to leave some in reinforcement just to take care of things. We'll come back to that. Let's use these to fill out our understrength corps. I believe each can take 2. Yep. All right. So now we have this previously understrength is now full strength, which is good. That means that we have a wider front we can deal with. We now won't need to rely only on this infantry to protect our flank. We can make a cohesive front across this entire strip. And where was the other understrength? Oh, right down here. The counter. We'll spread these guys out along the border. I really don't think we'll have much to worry about here in our invasion of the United Kingdom. We do have an extra one, so I think we'll just leave him in the capital for now until we can figure out where to deploy him. I will create a new corps for him, and the nearest army is this one. This is the 1st Army. We have left this auto-assign button on. Basically what that means is that the game will automatically take a leader of the correct rank to lead whatever unit you're deploying, and we'll automatically assign him. I think we do want to stick with the skill 0 guys just to get them more useful, so we can use them in a war that we can actually count on them in a war that actually matters. So we're gonna go through all of the units that we just deployed and make sure that all of these guys with actual skill in combat aren't actually leading our troops, because at this point we don't care that the troops are performing poorly. We don't really have that much competition over here. We just want to maybe give these guys a little bit more skill, so that they'd be useful in the future. Skill 0, skill 3. Oh, this is another thing. When you highlight over a general, you can see it's in here. Unfortunately, you can see whether or not they're actually able to be promoted. Like this guy right here, Daryl Mulhern, is actually going to always be useless to us. His skill of 0 is his maximum skill. You can see this guy has a skill of 0, but he can improve. This man has peaked. Daryl Mulhern has peaked at 0 skill. No matter how much experience in combat he gets, he will never be better than a 0. So the best thing for us to do in this situation would be to build a few garrison divisions, or maybe even a police division, just to keep keep our non-existent revolt risk down, I suppose. We'll have him defending our coast at some point, somewhere where we think there isn't going to be any combat, really. We can just have him in charge of some... we'll put him in Antarctica somewhere, we'll put him in Alaska. Assign him somewhere where he can't do any damage. This man is skill 3, and that is his max. He will actually be useful to us at some point. So here we have all skill 0 people who can actually grow in their combat ability. We do need to keep an eye out for that sort of thing. So we have production left, and we had been planning on expanding our navy at this point. Our navies, we have queued up some destroyers to be built. But other than that, we really aren't expanding our navy in any significant way. I suppose we should go into upgrades. When you build an infantry brigade like this one, every single piece of equipment isn't part of the infantry brigade. You're not building this infantry brigade and then they're static in terms of their weapons and their tactics. So when you do an upgrade, it just takes a little while and a little bit of industrial production on your part to upgrade this infantry. But naval units don't work like that. When you build a ship with a specific amount of armor or a specific engine or even a specific main gun, it has that gun forever. You can't upgrade it. You can't take it out and put a new one in, put a better one on there. So you're stuck with potentially outdated models. We cannot. We can research better tactics and better crew training for this battleship, but this battleship will always have these stats. It will always have a sea defense of 3. Remember, the destroyers we're building have a sea defense of 17. It will always have an air defense of 4, and a convoy attack of 12, and a sea attack of 15. This ship cannot get better. It is the strength that it is. So by deciding to build battleships or escort carriers right now, I think we will queue up. Let's do 2 escort carriers, and we won't add the carrier air groups with them, but we'll queue up two escort carriers. We will never have aircraft carrier armor on this ship. We will never have a aircraft carrier hangar on this ship, or a large warship radar. This is always going to be its engine. This will never be better than the point at which we build it. And because it takes 17 months to build, at full production, this will be done in March of 1938. Once this is built, it will be 2 years out of date. Now, that's just a fact of building a navy in this game. So deciding on having a navy that is relevant means a significant investment in industrial capacity. It's not just one of those things where you can build, 3 stacks of interceptors and then continually upgrade them. The Navy requires new ships all of the time in order to stay relevant, in order to stay competitive. So in that case, you do need to worry about your practical decaying. So we'll build these ones, and then we're just worried about capital ship practical in this instance. We have a negative 55% modifier, so this is taking 55% longer than a country with maybe a more naval focus. So we need to build cheap capital ships to get our... cruiser practical is also very low. How about we build... We already queued up 2 escort carriers. We'll do 2 light cruisers and then 2 battle cruisers just to get our practical back up. No, we haven't been researching battle cruiser engines or armor, so we'll do actual battleships. Unfortunately, this is going to be very expensive. It's going to be a really big IC sink for us, but it is required if we want to project our power anywhere outside of Europe. We're going to need a navy. And this won't even... this isn't even that large of a navy, This is just the bare bones minimum to have a full fleet. Okay, before we forget, we will build the carrier air groups for the CAGs for these two carriers. Luckily, carrier air groups exist independently of their carriers, so they will perform as sort of good all-rounders without the carriers present, and they take 218 days to build. Compare that to the 17 months that these units take to build. So we will get use out of these without the actual aircraft carrier. It would be better to build a more specialized unit. You see, these only have an air attack of 4, while our interceptors have an air attack of 8. So even against other interceptors, they will not stand up. They can attack ground units, but our tactical bomber is significantly better. They can attack hard units, but our close air support is significantly better. The same with sea attacks. They're good all-around planes, but they're not really spectacular in any capacity. But they are the only planes that you can stick on aircraft carriers, so they are useful for projecting power in that capacity. Well, that does it for our production. We deployed our infantry, we'll get them into position, and we'll wait until we can actually use them. Big old advance in research. Education advance gives us more leadership. That translates to more of everything. Better coal-to-oil conversion. That's awesome. Supply transportation, organization, and civil defense all finished. And we have a couple of theory texts that finished. This infantry warfare theory right here gives us a flat bonus to the organization of units. The organization in this game is, you can see right here, this is one of the units that we just deployed. The organization in this game works like morale in most other Paradox games and most other games in general. When the organization drops down to 1, the unit retreats because it's too disorganized to continue fighting. Now, the strength are the amount of men present in the unit, or tanks, or half-tracks, or planes, or what have you. But organization is its fighting ability. So doing a flat increase to the organization of your units, it doesn't increase their fighting ability, but it increases the amount of fighting that they can do. It lets you get more use out of your units. Now, morale does exist as well, but it's sort of a hidden modifier. This is the rate at which they regain their organization. So you see we have a max organization of 30, and 30% of that is regained. I believe that's every week. I could be wrong. So a unit that's been in intense combat, even though it may win, even though it may not take significant losses in terms of manpower, does need to recover its organization before it can actually attack again. So it's good to keep your organization up. And in these mixed units, you want to be careful because if you're not also focusing on increasing your support regiment's organization, your support regiments may be completely unable to engage in combat because they lost all organization while your frontline troops continue to fight. So you need to watch your organization. Right, we need to decide what we're going to research now because we have a lot of ahead of time research penalties, and we got that flat 5% education bonus from improved technology. So we have more leadership we can invest in places. We want our officer ratio to be as high as possible. The cap is 140%. And that influences all sorts of things. Primarily, it influences your unit's organization. You saw earlier, this unit has a max organization of 35, thanks to that new 5% organization bonus we got. And but its maximum organization is actually influenced by this number, this 122%. That's the bonus that we're getting for having more than enough officers to lead all of these troops. So I think we're going to take that extra 5% that we just got, and rather than investing it in more research, espionage, or diplomacy, we're going to invest it. We're going to do just enough to keep our 37 research projects moving. We're going to drop this back down to 0.5 every day. There we go. And we're still looking for maybe 2.1 now. We have a little bit of a pool of diplomatic influence. So there we go. We're now making 41 officers per day, which should let this come up to 140. That's as high as it can go. Any more than that is sort of a waste, but officers do die in combat as well, so you do want to have a significant amount just to make sure that your troops are at peak fighting efficiency. Now let's take a look at our actual research projects. we do have a significant amount of research that is ahead of time. So let's go up from the bottom. We have infantry warfare here. This is important. We're going to keep working on this. It's a 1936 text, so really this is just bringing us in up to date. We have central planning, which is on this screen right here, another 36. This increases the toughness of your HQ, which I really don't understand. HQs never engage in combat anyway, but it also increases the counterattack ability. Once we get into combat, there's a random chance that you'll use one of these tactics in combat, and researching these increases the chance that you'll use the counterattack tactic, which I believe increases the damage that your opponent takes while also increasing your defense. So these are all good all-around things. They can give you the edge in a combat that you might actually end up losing. Civil defense is over here. This is one of the texts that we really can't research because it's not just 2 years ahead of time; it's 3 years ahead of time. So we'll pull things off of here. We'll need to spend those points elsewhere. Cold oil conversion is also ahead of time. That is, though, one thing that we need to focus on. Really kind of worried about that. And it is close to 1937. I think we'll invest those two over here. These are all fairly important things to get research. Education investment is ahead of time. I don't think that's high on our priority list. We'll shift that down to radios. I can't believe we actually haven't got that yet. Wow, okay, that's an oversight on my part. We should have been researching that as soon as possible. This isn't really that relevant until you actually get the tech to build radar stations, because this lets you use your radar installations to listen for other people's radios. So until we get a radar station, this is really kind of an irrelevant tech. Let's see, light tank engine, and then we're back up into the non ahead of time. Let's just double check that. Cold oil conversion. Yeah, we know about all of these being ahead of time. That leaves us with looks like one research project we can do. Let's see. Can we do any fighter? How about we research the development of multi-role fighters, good all-around fighters that are stronger than our interceptors. That sounds like a plan. The 22nd of October, we have 4 more infantry divisions. This means we can fill out that 6th Corps of infantry, and since it's still October, there's more than enough time for us to actually get these guys reorganized and into combat. We really don't have anywhere to deploy them that they'd be really useful on this front right now. I suppose we can use these troops to, well, let's put them on this front of the pocket. We'll have these troops on this side of the pocket and these troops on this side of the pocket. And we'll use these guys to sort of squeeze in from the sides here. So let's select all of them. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put the HQ there, and we'll move this guy around to the other side. There we go. Seems like a plan. This means that we do now have room. Looks like this one should have finished yesterday, actually. It'll get done at some point. It looks like we do need to decide what we're going to build next. Since we can build light tanks now, I think we will actually fill out our planned motorized corps. So let's build. Let's see, we've got 3 in the queue right now. Yeah, let's just fill it out. So this will be the stats of our motorized units. You can see we have a very wide motorized unit. These guys also don't have very much soft attack. Compare that to our regular old infantry, which is much cheaper. These guys do 12 soft attack and 4 hard attack damage, where our motorized units do 10 soft attack and 1 hard attack. These guys really aren't the frontline heavy hitters. They're just meant to take and hold ground really quickly, get in around behind your opponent. So let's build 2 of these. We can, once we research the ability to make motorized units, we'll swap these guys out for motorized. And probably once we get the ability to make tank destroyers, we'll swap this armored car out for a tank destroyer. Give these guys actually some heavy hitting ability. And at that point, I mean, we might even consider swapping the light armor out for for medium armor. But I don't know. Maybe we'll still have use for light armor. I don't know. I think it'll be something that we'll try to steer clear from in the future. But in the meantime, this will increase our armor practical and our mobile unit practical, both of which are kind of crappy right now. So we'll save this template and we'll start production of 2 more of them. Now they are fairly expensive. These won't be done until July of next year, and in the meantime they're taking up almost 16 of our industrial capacity each. So these are not light investments. I mean, compare that to our infantry units, which take up each a total of 9 right now, but would be done in, it looks like, less than 4 months at this point. So really you need to decide if you're going to churn out a lot of infantry or get a good strong armored corps. It's really a give up one to get the other. Better artillery is always a good thing. We'll just make sure that we're not inefficiently researching here. Yep. Yeah, let's definitely focus on getting this up to date. We'll probably shift over to anti-tank fairly soon here. Maybe even upgrade the armored car a little bit, but that's an armored car specific upgrade. And if we're planning on moving our armored cars over to anti-tank units, it might not be a good idea to invest our tech research in that area. So once again, we have an extra infantry unit. We're going to put them off to the side here. Once our special forces get finished, we'll probably add them to the same core as this guy, just so that there's a little bit of balance there. We may even upgrade these guys to mountain units. That might be an idea. I'll have the special forces just be good all around everything. So we'll see. We'll see once that ends up happening. All right, we've got some. All right, our Rangers, our first division of Rangers has been deployed. This is our first anti-tank brigade ever, which is spectacular. It's a welcome addition. This will help protect us from enemy tank aggression. We also have our stack of motorized regiments finally up and ready. So what I did was I put all of our brigades of light armor into the same regiment, which is obviously not how we're going to want them. We want to spread out one unit of light armor into these cavalry divisions. And we're going to do that for each cavalry division. There we go. And there we go. Alright, now I'm not going to mess around with our cavalry divisions. We want the most skilled guy to be in charge. These we're not going to mess around here. We want something like attack speed. School of Maneuver would be good. Anybody with the Battle Master gives combined arms bonus, which is very nice for these motorized units. That's where they get most of their attack strength from. So we're going to go with Skill 4 guys with either the School of Maneuver or the Battle Master. We want to steer clear of Old Guard because we want these guys to gain as much experience as possible, and Old Guard just will not get that done. We'll do this guy. This guy also gives bonuses for amphibious attacks, which is one place where tanks are weakest. So we'll do that. Luckily, we'll be missing this river in our little crossing through. Alright, so that's the plan. We're going to move in here, force our way through, and use our infantry to spread out across the line. Okay, in the meantime, let's also not mess around with the unskilled guys when it comes to our special forces. This guy's a Marine. He's better at fortification, better at attack speed, and uses less supply. I think that's going to be fantastic for our Rangers. Maximo VZ. That's awesome. And this... Oh, look. Paratrooper. We don't have any paratroopers yet. He's a fanatic, which is great if you're encircled. Less attrition in the winter, and better on the attack. Let's go with this guy. And we'll attach these guys to a new corps. This corps will be Special Forces. Let's call him the Ranger. Ranger Corps. Led by Lieutenant General what? This guy's pretty good. He's only a rank 3 though. Let's do this one. Freddy Fugati. Freddy Fugate. There you go. We'll deploy another ranger unit over here, and they will be under strength. That does free up some more production for us. We've got 2 of these guys in production, 1 more ranger in production. It looks like our infantry production is rather limited at the moment. We do need to give a little more to... Oh, we need to upgrade our newly deployed units, and up our supplies, and up our consumer goods. So yeah, we actually don't have a surplus of production at the moment. Alright, well, let's just keep on keeping on then. Oh, we need to apply to get these guys into the 1st Armored. 1st Armored Corps. And there's Lyle Orocho again. Let's get someone with high skill and maybe Battlemaster. School of Maneuver. There we go. Robert Laverne. Robert Laverne. He is at max skill, unfortunately, but his max skill is also the highest skill that we can possibly have. So I guess that's a good thing for now. And yeah, we'll keep our Ranger Corps in reserve. Attach our Armored Corps to the 1st Army, and we'll just we'll attach our Ranger Corps to the headquarters. That way they can go all over the place. Wherever they're needed, they can go. All right. We have better supply production now. That's spectacular. Is that inefficient? Looks like it's not. Alright, our intelligence agency has just informed us that they suspect some foreign country is supporting one of the opposition parties financially. It would certainly explain the party's sudden increase of resources. Depending on the amount of support they actually receive, this could pose some real problems for us in the future. Is it the Paternal Autocrat Party? SDP. Oh, that's us. Well, our reaction will lose us either to popularity or to organization. Well, our popularity isn't spectacular. It is more than the Paternal Autocrat Party, but their organization is just skyrocketing. Our counterintelligence is just bad. It's because we're still an open society. We can't enact limited restrictions to increase our ability to perform counterintelligence until we're either at war and we have a popularity of at least... Yeah, until we're at war and we have a popularity of at least 50. In other words, we need an excuse to enact limited restrictions on our civil laws. So we will never be able to really counter this intense spy activity. We need to go into our intelligence and completely remove our counter-espionage. We've caught 0 spies in the last month. It's just horrible. We need to focus on supporting our ruling party. There's no 2 ways about that. Increase our consumer goods a bit, bump the upgrades back up, and we can either decide to spend money to increase our counter-espionage, or we can lose some support, lose organization, gain dissent, and... Alright, there are other things to worry about, I suppose. Well, now we have 2 dissent to worry about, so let's sacrifice our production for a bit to get rid of that as soon as possible. -0.2 a day. That's a significant drop. We'll get rid of that dissent ASAP. Because of all of the deploying of troops that we've been doing, we now have only 102% of the necessary officers. We really need to up our officer production, it looks like. Upgrades are fine. Just let the dissent sort of tick down by itself. Goes, and it's gone. Move all that back to producing useful things. Drop the upgrades down. And now we need to decide a new thing to produce. Let's check if we can build another Ranger division. Where did we save them? We can't. No, that is unfortunate. Well, let's just build a mountain division. Now, when you build mountain divisions and then give them, say, an artillery support unit, you basically counteract all of the benefits of these guys being mountain divisions rather than infantry. because these guys are much like the tanks in that they have a list of detriments. So sort of like these guys, they have a whole bunch of negative modifiers when it comes to attacking in certain places. But mountain, in fact, Rangers might actually have this too. Yeah, these guys have a list of benefits when attacking in certain circumstances and defending in certain circumstances. Obviously, their focus is on hills and on mountains, but if you attach an artillery regiment to them, an artillery division to them, then it counteracts all of that on the division level. So you really need to build unsupported mountain infantry. Presumably they'd have their own artillery and that sort of thing that they'd take with them. As you can see, that means that it's going to be a very soft brigade, but their bonuses when they're fighting in the right territory more than make up for it. I'm actually going to stack them. I think that 4 and 4 is the right way to go about this. And because we only have 2 ranger divisions to deploy and that 1 regular infantry division to put with them, we're just going to use mountain infantry to fill out the rest of that ranger corps. I think that'll be fine. So this corps will end up looking like 2 ranger divisions, 1 regular infantry division that we may upgrade to something like Marines or something like that, and then 2 mountain infantry. I think that'll be good. Another minor party gathers strength. Now, if this is a democratic... Nope, this is the Nazi party. They need to remain a minor party. Alright, the Nazi party now has 1 organization. We have 22, and the paternal autocrats now have 29. Luckily, we are still beating them in terms of actual popularity. But we really need to maybe start worrying about that. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, we have a new unit deployed. That means that our consumer good need has also gone up, and it's the Ranger Division. So we'll deploy them to the Ranger Corps. And there we go. We'll let them reorganize, and once we find a need for them, we'll deploy them. Alright, it is the 2nd of December, and we've received a production inquiry from Communist China. That's this country right up here. And they're requesting permission to use our research, our technology, to build one of our close air support units. In this case, they want to build a Junkers Stuka. They're willing to pay us $16.8. Well, Communist China, how close are you to our faction? Really close. Really, really close. Alright, so this is a potential ally. Do we have cores on them? We do. We have a significant amount of cores on them, actually. Mostly down here, plus 1 up here. Do any of these matter? Yeah. There's a significant amount of... there's a decent amount, at least some, industrial capacity here. And it looks like in this region there's a lot of resources that we kind of want to take for ourselves. Unfortunately, Communist China, you are our potential target in the future. So no, you don't get to build any of our Stukas. Our Stukas are our Stukas. Oh, I never renamed these guys. Alright, this is the 2nd interceptor. There we go. Full of Messerschmitts. And we've got a tactical bomber, 2 tactical bombers. Let's combine those. We'll change this into first tac. And we've got a tactical bomber and a close air support wing. So this is the... nope, actually. We are going to combine... We're going to combine the tactical bombers into 1 tactical wing. And these guys are going to be the first close air support. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You have a leader, you have a leader. You've got a leader, you don't have a leader. Let's put the least skilled guy in charge so he can level up. There we go. It is December. Better destroyers are fantastic. Yeah, we're just gonna keep on researching that. Bring at least 1 tech up to current day. Yep, still doing that thing as well. Alright, we have a significant amount of production we can now assign. I think at this point what we need are garrison. Just nice and easy. We'll build a full core of them, a full 5 garrison regiments. And we'll build them at full strength. So that we can deploy them to our coasts and maybe give this guy a little bit more stopping power when it comes to protecting himself. And we can assign our useless commanders to him. Get them out of the way. What we really don't want is for someone to declare war on us and make a landing here completely unopposed. We've got some pretty high value provinces over here that would be able to support quite a bit of enemy troops if someone were to land there. And we want to at least put up a small fight, let our reserves get into position before they just run rampant on our coast. And random event gives us more IC efficiency. Alright, better blitzkrieging. We can still continue to research that. That just gives us basically blanket organization for all of our armored units. That's definitely necessary. And we have a new interceptor. I'll land you here. We'll call you the 3rd Interceptor. 3rd Interceptor Wing. You've got a level 4 commander. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. When's the next Interceptor Wing due? March. Alright, so you'll be under strength for a bit. Might as well start 2 more. Control our own skies before we worry about bombing theirs. And less upgrades are required. Our infantry and artillery is being upgraded, and their stats will get better over time. Alright everybody, that autosave means that it is now 1937, 2 o'clock on the 1st of January. At the end of the day, everyone's non-aggression pact will no longer be in existence. And incoming, swarm of pop-ups. Nope, I was wrong. It's the 3rd of January. My bad. End of the 3rd of January. No more non-aggression pacts with anybody. And we research better anti-aircraft for our light cruisers. How wonderful. Yeah, let's get that up to date. Of course, now all the texts that we just researched at the 1936 level are now out of date because it's now 1937. Well, let's see if we can declare war yet. Nope. Our neutrality is 42.88, and the threat between us and the United Kingdom allows us to declare war when our neutrality is at 23.85, which is unfortunate. Well, we'll wait until we can.